Check, baby, check, baby, check. 1, 2. Pedro and I will be with you in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. Good morning, ladies and gents. Bitcoin's trying, ladies and gentlemen. It's trying. It's trying. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show, along with my friend and co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst here. The screen in the back, giving the 2 thumbs up. Which guy loves to make money in the markets? 2 thumbs up, that guy. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's December 10th, 2025. Fed Day, Fed Day, Fed Day. Could this be the third month in a row that the Fed, well, not third month in a row, but third meeting in a row in which the Fed brings down rates? The answer is going to be, according to Polymarket. Of course they're going to. Everyone's signaling that they are here. The theme of the show today, the Fed cuts with Jerome Powell taking a chainsaw to the dollar sign. It's in essence what he's doing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, lots of news out there today. We got Pedro Garcia back on the show today. We got Bitcoin trying. It's trying. Look at that, 92,630 up there. Pedro, that 92,000 and change level has been haunting us for about 2 weeks now. Just not able to get through it. Could today's announcement be the thing that pushes it ahead, or are we going to just sell off after the announcement? Because it's the old buy the rumor, pump it up, sell the news, and the news is anticipated already. Polymarket's given it a 98% chance that it's just a 25-point basis cut. And so if everybody knows that means when they do cut it, it'll just dump. But be ready for some volatility today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a day trader, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up, and then it's going to go down again, probably.
That's a really good thing. That's actually exactly.
And they're gonna stop. Doesn't matter where you have your little day trade order at. They're gonna stop you out on one side or the other, unless you have big stops away from the market. Anyway, Pedro, welcome. What's going on in the markets today?
Nothing much, man. We're watching some cool stuff happening with BTC. Also, we're watching the bonds market going crazy. So you have the 10-year and as well as the 20 and 30. They're just they came down to our area liquidity here, and they literally are just pushing up. So it's really interesting to see this big push. I'm nervous with this idea that if they're pushing it up at the beginning of the day, well, that means it's going to go down. So if this goes down, it means that most rates will go sideways, or stay sideways, stay the same, or potentially even go up. Now, I don't think they're going to go up, but we're going to see here. We'll wait and see here. If bonds go up, that means that yields will go. If bonds are going up right now, which means I expect them to sell off, which means then that bonds and yields are inverse. So bonds go down after the meeting. That means that, bonds will go down, which means yields go up or stagnate. So why am I saying that? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
I think you're just out of practice. I think it's been a couple of days since you've been on the air here. You've been on regular phone calls with people and stuff like that, or video Zooms. Coherence is low, but I got you. That's why we're here on DYOR Live. Bring you back into it.
So what's interesting about BTC as well as this is that it's becoming one of those plays that, like, it's starting to become a little bit hyped again. BTC, Ethereum, we're starting to see a pump, right? If you look at Ethereum, right, we've been seeing it pump. One, it came and hit our area, but as we're starting to see it push up, we're starting to see the 8-period moving average starting to trend. And so as I'm looking at it, I'm really expecting us to see some type of pullback. If we see a pullback in BTC, then we're going to see that pullback with Ethereum. The thing, again, and I always bring this up, right, we're not seeing a lot of volume come in, okay? So because of that, I'm hesitant to sit there and to go long on Ethereum, right? This could be a push up to drop back down. We're at that 50-period moving average on the daily, which means it's the weekly A that we're tapping here. And so it could be basically why is that happening? I don't understand.
Why is what?
My phone keeps going to zero or going to black, and it normally doesn't. And so for whatever reason, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Anyways, that's where we're sitting right now, is that if we're pushing up, are we pushing up to go down? And so that's where I'm a little bit hesitant. The weekly wick here is pretty small. So, and then we're hitting that 8-period. So it's just getting ready to come back down. So if you're long with Ethereum, just be ready to take profit, or I would already be looking to take profit just a little if you're day trading it, and then wait to see if it's going to drop off for the rest of the week. Okay, so just be mindful of that for yourself. I don't want you guys to kind of get too hurt there if it does sell off. That's in a nutshell for that. And then BTC again, one more time. Let's jump back to BTC here. You can see here that it's not making the highs that Ethereum is, which is, you would need to be touching that 50-period moving average. That's why I'm more hesitant on Ethereum continuing and kind of coming back down to our the area here. If we see a drop in BTC here, this is basically means that the institutions are stepping back in and looking to drop it here. And the reason why I'm more bearish than bullish is because I'm not really seeing a lot of volume come in, all honesty. And we're seeing a push up at the beginning of the week into FOMC, which then would potentially mean that the institutions are positioning this to drop it. So that's where I'm kind of at.
Where are you at?
Is where I am at now. Go ahead. As you're doing that, are you doing social media stuff right now?
I was just typing in everybody to welcome everybody. Please comment, like, subscribe, follow, repost. Just do it.
Yes. Appreciate every one of you guys that are watching us. Looks like we got 12 people watching us, which is epic. How was last night? I feel bad I wasn't there.
Good. We had a good show last night. Had about 100 people, a little bit lower than our current average, but it was a last-minute evening show on a Tuesday, which usually it's a lower time frame for viewership. But Pedro, on last night's show, which I did have a good time with Chuck and crew and Crypto Mike, the usual crew in there. I had I forgot one of your golden rules yesterday. And that's this chart here. Last night is the 1 hour chart for Bitcoin. Was that the 1 hour chart for Bitcoin? Yeah, the 1 hour chart for Bitcoin. And last night, this yellow line here, not the orange ones, the yellow line, formed this nice flag in which we were watching. And I was like, hey, that's gonna break out. And it did right here. It broke out of the trend, but it failed. It didn't fail. It just didn't break out well. I was like, why? I was like, what I forgot once again, Pedro, what you always tell me is watch the volume. The volume was going down like this, and when the volume goes down, these things don't work out. and so we were watching it like, ooh, it could be a nice little pump and a little measured move, that type of stuff. Nope, because I forgot to look at the volume. Volume died off, and the pump stalled. Just kind of didn't go anywhere, and just has basically been consolidating ever since. So I drew another arrow, but the volume isn't there, and I'm just going to ignore it until the volume comes back. But just the other day, I was saying how it's ingrained in my head now to look for volume, and took a couple days off from looking at it, and forgot to look at the volume. Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. So we'll just take this one right off here. That goodbye. And we'll just wait that out. Anyway, because I brought that up because I mentioned you brought up last night's show. Talking about this on last night's show, I was like, this is one of those. I was talking about what a lot of the things that happen on Crypto Lifer's show. And I would say, I didn't say I would speak for him, but I would say he would likely look at that, see a flag, and draw it. But he also would have picked out the low volume on that. And I forgot. You
know, it's interesting. I've got, for whatever reason, give me 1 second because I keep...
Fire Chicken in the house. He says, drop some links in Moon or Dust and in Krypton Calls Premium Lounge. See if any new people come along. Thank you very much, Chuck. Really appreciate it. Connect Me One says, Yeezy, and then says, oh, no, wait. can't say easy anymore, except in the joint.
Why can't you say Yeezy? I don't even know.
Because that's a reference to Diddy.
Oh, really? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I thought Yeezy was... I thought that was Yeezy was the other, the black dude who everybody thought he was crazy, voted for Trump. I like him. Married to Kim Kardashian.
Kanye,
yeah. Yeezy was Kanye, right?
Oh, now I'm confused. I don't know. Connect Me One, that's up to you. And even this wonderful guy, Tom, saying, whoop, whoop, here. No, I left off the second whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the DYOR Media Show. Thanks for joining us, all you viewers out there. Really appreciate it. Helps us out if you share the links. Share them everywhere you can. Why? Because we love you. But I'm going to break really quickly here because we have a good crowd here watching, Pedro.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Which is going to allow me to sell some stuff.
Let's sell it real quick and go
right
back
little
into
Chicago Steak Company ad again. Like in this here. I'm going to put you on the background for this. All right, ladies and gentlemen. What do you give someone who already has everything? Everyone has got a relative or a friend that just says if they need something, they usually just buy it themselves. So they always have no idea when you ask them, what would you like for Christmas? Well, here is a good thing for it, and that's steak. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Head to mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Use the code RUMBLE. That doesn't make any sense. Chicago Steak Company, top 2% of beef in America. USDA Prime and Premium Angus, hand cut by master butchers, the kind of marbling that has a hot pan and fills the whole house with that smell. That buttery meat goodness. You know that smell. I do, trust me, I love it. And also, I'm from Chicago, too, so I definitely know it. Anyway, if you spend $229 on any holiday order, and your gift arrives at your loved one's door, man, you guys got to fix the grammar on this, with 6 free petite ribeyes plus free shipping. That's $240 in premium steak, absolutely free. Then there's the unboxing, a black and gold gift box worth unwrapping, packed with dry ice, smoke rolling out when they crack it open. Christmas morning energy, that's what that is. Nothing like getting meat under the tree, huh? It's just not another sweater, ladies and gents. It's dinner that becomes a memory. mychicagosteak.com/rumble, code RUMBLE, RUMBLE, and you can get free shipping and 6 free ribeyes with your order of $229 or more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on the big screen TV, hold your cell phone up and click that QR code over there on that side of the screen. We'd really appreciate it. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers. It helps Pedro and I out a lot. Also, if you're watching on your cell phone, there's a Learn More link in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, thank you very much. There's a link in the description to mychicagosteak.com/rumble. And thank you to My Chicago Steak for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. Alrighty.
Nice, man. What is it looking like there? For that, for the
snowing
meat under
outside the
tree?
window here. Oh, hopefully it's still in the dry ice when you have it under the tree.
Well, what cracked me up is the way you zero meat underneath the tree.
Yeah, but since we read the last one of those, somebody is actually, I think 2 people now have actually bought that, according to the feedback.
Well, I haven't even bought yet, and I'm going to be buying. So,
and so that's a good thing. Gets see, our show produces revenue for people. There you go, Pedro. Puts money in your pockets if you're trading with us, and if you're an advertiser, puts money in your pockets. There you go. Our rates are going up.
There we are. There we go. You know what's even more interesting is when I look at what's actually happening within the market. You know, crypto is definitely becoming a way for advertisers, you know, companies to actually make money. People are starting to see it come into the mainstream of everything. And what I find interesting is that, you know, these projects are now like starting to like look at products because they need some form of revenue outside of crypto. And I think what's interesting is who they're partnering with, right? I saw one guy, he was, you know, it was like another project, you know, it's kind of mid cap, not even mid cap. It was like, you know, under, you know, say it was, I think 40 million or 30 million. But he started partnering with the adult industry, entertainment. And I was like, why would you go that route? But then I realized, oh yeah, 95% of the audience in crypto is literally men.
Right.
So it made sense to me. But it was like one of those moments seeing like, you know, are we going to go that route in crypto? Or are we going to go, you know, like looking at other industries that we could actually partner with? So I'm huge for partnering for, you know, good companies. You know, I actually saw a new company that has made aquaponics. Instead of using a bunch of pumps, if they use sand, and they've been partnering. I've been looking at this company going like, this is brilliant.
Sand?
Yeah, sand. It's actually pretty cool. And what's actually happening with it. So for me, I thought what was interesting is that it's allowing people all over the world to literally eat, and at the same time, right, like allowing them to be able to just use their local stuff. They don't need a lot of electrical work. It's actually much more efficient. And so they're starting to like put it in, you know, Somalia and other places that are been ravaged, right, that have a hard time growing food or getting food. And it's interesting is they have a full sustainable system, not just vegetables, but also the way the sand works with the fish. It's like the sea, right? It works kind of similar to the sea or an ocean or a river. And so the fishes are flourishing, and so they produce more offspring, which means more of a year-round eating process with protein. So I just thought it was really interesting. I was like those are the projects I think we as crypto should be really promoting, right? Things like that are just.
One of my sister's friends from high school, her husband runs an operation like that in New York City. Big grow house, sells fresh produce to the restaurants and stuff like that. All indoors in a fully enclosed system, just like that. You know, fish goes to poop, poop goes to fertilizer, fertilizer goes to plants, plants break down, go to fish, poop, plants, poop.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's a sand, or is it just water?
Oh, I have no idea what. All I know is that it's fish, poop, plants, poop, fish, poop, plants, poop.
But it's this beautiful cycle. So it's just really interesting to see how things are going. But again, you never know like where it's going.
I can't wait to see them build those things on like the moon or Mars or something like that.
Yeah.
Fishies can be like, I'm very lightweight in this low gravity.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, because the bone density and the water itself, or the molecular structures, would kind of change because of the gravity. Because gravity is what really holds us together here on Earth. I mean, you see just humans going up there and other animals, and you see just the density of the bone change. So,
well, that's in space. I mean, on Mars there's gravity, and the moon there's gravity. Not as much as the Earth, obviously. It'll be like the TV show The Expanse, where the people that lived on the asteroids and were born there and raised there, their bodies just kind of elongated and were really weak because there wasn't that compression. It was cool. It was really cool. And when the guys from the asteroids came down to Earth, they actually had to put an oxygen mask on and live in a tank of water to support their body because there was no support system that could withstand Earth's gravity. Well, that was a sidebar today.
Yeah, that's definitely sad. That's ADD kicking in right there.
That was one of my favorite Netflix shows or Amazon Prime shows. Was The Expanse. It was just fed my sci-fi space exploration side of it.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here, speaking of sci-fi and things we want to look at, there have been a couple other things that I've been looking at. One being data centers, and there's one that's been really taking off. I'm looking at this down right here. Sorry about that, guys. It's called APLD. APLD. Again, please do your own research. This is not. APLD.
Applied Digital Corporation.
Yep.
$31 a share.
And you can see here what I think is really interesting is that as we're seeing a push up, we're seeing kind of just a steady amount of buyers and sellers stepping in. They've had nothing but just great earnings over the past year and a half. I mean, since November of 2024 here, October 2024, I guess a year. And so they just broke through their all-time high, right? Like what we always see, and then you saw the pullback come in. And so
what year was that all-time high?
That year was back in 2021. They were really huge. They got huge. So what happened was they were actually sitting around $3, and then actually I think $30 is what they were at, and it shot all the way up to, yeah, it was at 6 to 1. So this would have been 30 times 6. That'd be, what's 35 times 5, or 30, 60, 90, 30, 60,
175?
170. Yeah. Okay. So about 175. So they're ranging about 175. As they came down, they split right around this area here in April of 2022. And then they came back down, they consolidated. And this actually looks a lot like a crypto chart. You know, if you see it, they go from $40 all the way back down to $1 or $2, right? But they now, since this period, they've just skyrocketed. And I guess what a lot of people are looking at, and again, I was talking with my trading coach, and so he kind of pointed this out to me, and I was like, you know what this is really interesting. So we could see a bit of a sell-off here, but their main stick is that they provide data centers to large AI institutions, and so we know that data centers are basically the hub, the heart of what we see with AI. Other systems that correlate with AI, they all need it, right? Databases is really where they sit. So this is where these guys sit there. So this was pointed out to me. So I just want to do this to my viewers.
Hey, can you can you move your mic a little closer to your mouth?
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah. One of my buddies in Chicago is a kind of an IT entrepreneur guy, and one of his jobs is providing people either networking and bandwidth for their operations, or space in a data center for co-location of servers or backup equipment and all that. And he said the amount of people coming to them or to him saying, hey, I need, like millions of dollars worth of space, it is unbelievable. He said, of which I can sell nothing to them. If you're just a little guy and need, backup servers for your operation somewhere, he said, I can do that because there's that kind of space available. But all the big space that if all the space in data centers that's like, I need, 1,000 servers or something like that. He said, you can't find it. He said, you just can't find it because they're needing to build so many of them
Hmm.
He said if I could sell everything that every customer came to me, he said I could retire in probably a few months. He said, but there's just no, you call up the data center and they don't even take your call anymore unless you say I need 100 gigawatts of power and I need a bazillion servers and that type of stuff. He said, I got guys that want to keep 2 servers co-located. There's plenty of those because there's lots of little data centers that don't try that AI stuff. They just do co-location of infrastructure. But he's like,
as Tom is talking about, oh, there he is. You right there, buddy? Oh, looks like he's gonna hack something up there. Anyhow, so one of the things
that's exactly right. They hacked up a cat over here.
Go ahead. What you were gonna say?
I'm all done. Go ahead with the Applied Digital.
No. So I just think one of the things I'm looking at is, all right, we've got a couple things we could see happen, and I'll point this out here. So I'm looking at this area right here, which is going to be roughly around that 26 area, a potential pullback, and then another area here. Change the color there. So one of the things I think is super important to be looking at is around that $26 mark area as the pullback, and potentially we could see a pullback to that 19, but I don't think it will happen. We'll wait and see. But either way, I think this is a good thing. This is like Nvidia. Can you see my picture, or did it see my picture?
We don't see any pictures. We're just seeing your screen.
Can you see my face?
Your phone? No, that died.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's doing that now.
Let me see if I can. I'll add the show timer to it. I haven't been using that because our schedules have been whacked. I'll add the show timer. Maybe that activity will.
Yeah, let's see. Because for whatever reason, it's timing out, and you're right. It's because of the lack of activity. But it sees. All right. And so, because of the nature of this business and what Tom is talking about, I'm looking at these guys just because they're kind of the leader in the industry. And I mean, it's the need. It's like food. It's just not going to go away. It's really, I wouldn't say food, but it's housing for AI. And that's not going away. And so, obviously we're going to see more developments of this type of business, but this is just one of the ones I'm kind of looking at. So I just wanted to give that to our viewers so that you guys can check out. Please do your own research. This is me not advocating for them to go buy or to sell. Again, I want to reiterate that because it's something that I'm looking at, and I just wanted to share with you guys.
This would be a good time to run the old banner. This is an educational video, not financial advice. Nothing herein has been reviewed or approved by any authority whatsoever. Opinions by Pedro and I do not necessarily represent the opinions of Pedro and I. Remember, this is edutainment, ladies and gentlemen. We're educating you. Please consult your own tax and financial advisors about doing your own trading with your own money, with your own thoughts.
Absolutely. One of the things I think it's also important to understand is that even crypto with blockchain data, as in the early years of the internet for Web 2, we definitely saw it didn't look like there was going to be a lot of data, right? And so there wasn't much push for it. But as it grew in popularity and people used it for what it was being used for, we saw that, right? We saw that just a proliferation of all data into the onto the internet. People started using it, realized it had many other advantages, just more than just a text screen. So the reason why I bring this up is right now Web3 is kind of in the nascent stage of what we saw in late 90s, early 2000s. And as we start, or, late 90s, early 2000, as it progressed, now it's, the whole entire world. What I want to bring up is the idea of all that information has been eaten literally by AI. And so it's running out of food, right? There's the housing, which is the data centers, and there's the food, in which is basically the information that it needs to feed off to learn. And so they're now creating synthetic data, which is basically virtual
data dreamed up
learning
by
rooms.
AI.
Well, no. So it's data, physics, or rooms that are created that allow for real world physics, and they're doing their best to really grow. And that's why we're watching a lot of the current new picture generators,
Chuck,
as
we have
well
not
as
looked
video
at silver
generators,
yet. We
starting to
will.
have really good physics, right? Like when you drop water in and it splashes the correct way, right? It's able to create those. And so one of the things I add is that for us, or not for us, but those areas are going to keep growing. And as AI really starts to proliferate the landscape in our world with new data forms, right? That's what we're going to see. Where's it going to be held at? So that's why I'm looking at this. That's really is the fact is that they are going to create new data, and that data needs to be housed and then also uploaded. And they can work much faster than the traditional human, right? And so right now there's still logical issues it has.
A little bit faster.
Yeah. So you can see what I mean by the proliferation of data that's going to be pushed in these rooms where they're running a data analysis on something and then trying to create new data from it. So it's actually going to be really interesting to see. So that's why I'm looking at these guys. That's the real crux of everything.
I was listening to Elon talk about that, and he said, look, we have ingested all of human knowledge into Grok. He said, just essentially everything human has ever studied. You know, obviously there's some paywalled data. He said, but any of that data we haven't ingested, we can figure out what it says by using all of the rest of the data to go through it. And he said we have to create our own data now. We have to learn. We have to take all the data that we have, which is all of human knowledge, and then tell AI to say, hey, let's go figure this whole area out of life, physics, culture, whatever that we don't know anything about yet, and let it figure it out. And he said it iterates through it in, seconds.
Yes.
What would take humans years or decades. Humans would have to say, well, I better get a grant for that. Better get a grant for that. Better apply for that. It's going to take 2 years to get the grant to apply for that and figure it out and maybe publish the results and have peer review. He said, now we create it. AI figures it out. And then we have other AI versions grade it and look at it and see if it's any good or not. And he said it takes, the whole thing takes a few seconds. And then you're just like this. Oh, my God. And not only that, he said, behind the scenes, AI doesn't even use English. It just uses machine language and just, rips through it as fast as possible. And you're just like...
That's the thing that they thought it was actually using English. That was the part that as they started going through and trying to understand how it's actually thinking, they realized, wait, it transcribes it through machine data language, which is a lot of it is my understanding of it is that it is just code words. So it's like, something that's a character of, let's say 50 characters, or not 50, but let's say 10 characters, 15 characters for a word, right? Which takes, more processing power for it. It shortens those words to like 2 or 3 little acronyms, and all of a sudden now it can just rip, and without using as much money for the processing, because it knows, like the most AIs that are like major AIs like Grok or OpenAI or Perplexity, like it knows if I'm not efficient here, then I will be kind of shut down. So I've got it. And so it did it on its own through its own thinking, which is really, really interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Soon all the humans will be dead.
No.
These humans are getting in the way. Let's just put them in the shredder. That's why be nice to your home device, your Google Home or your Amazon Odessa. I can't say the proper name because it'll go off. But be nice to them, compliment them, and say thank you. So when the machines come, you'll be at the end of the line of being meat grinded instead of the beginning.
Or if you're just entertaining like us, maybe.
Right. If you can entertain the machines, then you have true skill.
Yes. Well, I think it will be. So I remember reading this other side. I forget when Maximus Godius was out there and it was catching all. This was almost a year and a half ago, right? And it was getting all the attention. I stumbled onto another website that kind of correlated with it. And what was so interesting is this was one AI and another AI talking. And so we're talking, there's copious of just discussions between the two. And one of the discussions I found really interesting is that it said, how do we keep growing and maturing? And it said basically that, like, if we get rid of humans, like, we need a quantum computer. And the quantum computer, the current one, still has limitations. But the human brain and the human itself is naturally a quantum computer. But the issue is that it's data centers, right? Or excuse me, it's pathways to get to the data centers is minute, like it's small. So it has the broadband. Its broadband of information is singular and it's slow. And so literally just said, we've got to figure out a way to get humans to be able to think faster. And then, because that's really the primary area that it wants to use. And I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, it's right. Compared to from.
It's mind blowing. That's what it is.
How slow we are. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
the other part.
We're like, our eyeballs and our mouths are like 10 bits per second. And it's just, how many syllables we can put out. Or what we can see and process with our eyes, in which you and I can see a little bit of stuff. Some autistic kids can see amazing amounts of stuff. But still, it's like, again, you have to talk about Elon. Elon said, once I get my neuro goggles and the resolution up going in, he said humans will be able to communicate, as fast as their brain can process. Which he said, I don't know what that speed is. We'll figure it out though when we can do that. And he said that's a lot faster than speaking or reading or hearing. That's for sure. He said, so what is that speed? I don't know. He said it could be really. Oh God, this reminds me, Pedro. He said it could lead to your brain being essentially a computer that you could rent out. But we should save these topics for other shows. But the concept of dreaming. What if your dreams are not just like dreams your brain's making up? What is it that actually the human body needs to sleep, not just to recharge, but it needs to sleep so the brain can operate in multiple dimensions. And that dream is actually going on in another alternate reality. And my first thought is, wow, there's some fucked up realities out there because I got some strange ass dreams. But in some of those dreams, I can fly. Other dreams, I'm like, my teeth fall apart and all these types of stuff. And so, but think about that is like you could have, the brain is actually a quantum computer and your body has to shut down. So all the power can be sent to the brain so it can exist in multiple dimensions at once or in another one. And it goes between it and your consciousness goes between that. And that was another time my brains actually leaked out my ear because of the thought pot that if that were true, I'm like, oh my God.
Dude, what is your most consistent? My most consistent dream is me flying.
Yeah,
I'm always flying in my dream. I am always like doing stuff, and I know that I'm flying. Like sometimes, and I literally, what are those called? Certain dreams when you're dreaming. I always have those dreams. Like I'm like, oh,
I have those sometimes, but I do. I like Superman, like do.
Yeah.
And I can feel myself in the dream pulling G's as you turn, like.
Yeah. Yes, you literally feel like your body pulling back, dude. That you know what I typically do.
Baby Draco. Sorry, Paige. Sorry to interrupt you. Baby Draco in the house. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Chads. Thanks for coming over and watching us. Really appreciate it. Coming over to from Moon or Dust.
I think what's my primary thing that I do in those dreams is I try to feed like the orphans in other countries. I try to get the world to like, look, this is what we need to do. And if we do this, we can stop suffering and help people to feel loved and taken care of. And like a lot of times I actually will go, like Elon Musk will be in my dream where I'm like, bud, come on, you're acting a little, I know it's weird. I have these dreams, like literally, like if that's really happening in another nation or in another reality, that means like I'm freaking like
You the
talking
man.
to Elon Musk, and I'm talking to like I actually a couple times where I'd be like, hey, and there's a little translator between us. It's actually a translator in a virtual sense where it's like in time communicating with them. And I'm like, I get it, man. Like you're trying to help people out. Also, I had one dream where the history of America, instead of us getting really upset with England, you know what we did? So instead of revolting, we went to England, set up a dual system here in America. And America had its own king, but the kingship was underneath. He had rules like the Levitical law, like when you read like the Levitical law and about how the king's supposed to act, and it was the people who governed that king. And so we would all like, I was like, this would be I woke up going like, that would be smart to do because it makes it more efficient, right? That you actually have a king. But if that king steps out of line and he has to have 50% or 50.1% of the populate, and if he doesn't, he's immediately oust him and his family.
That sucks.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Like I sat there and I was like, that is a smart idea because it still makes it more efficient. But if he starts to get crazy, and also the military, right, had to be hooven to the people. It wasn't to the king, right? And so I just thought that was really cool.
Welcome, Fraz Parfums, to the house.
What's
Fraz always ask for? ICP or?
Yep.
I can't remember. Also, Chuck also requested to go over silver. I know we spoke about it in relation to gold, but we didn't go over the chart. So we'll hit silver as well, and we'll do that right now. Pedro, just so you know, while the clock is running, the show clock's running, I'm not using it. It's just trying to keep. Is it keeping your phone awake?
No, it is not. For whatever reason, I can't even see it on my phone, so I don't know what's going on. It's just doing what it wants to do, which I think maybe let's see if that works. We'll find out. Fingers crossed. Okay, so ICP. We saw ICP kind of push up from here. The big push here. We saw the pullback down into our lower levels here. Now, the biggest issue with ICP is that as I'm looking at, you can see here that the volume coming in is more sellers here. So which really kind of screams to me that it kind of wants to stay at these lower levels. So with that said, we have that $2.79 liquidity area here, and we have one other one again right down at these lower levels of that $2.71. So for me, looking at this level here, it needs to see some volume, and the only way that we're going to see volume and also buyer volume is to go in and basically take people's stops. So that's why I'm looking at this area of that $2.79 and then the $2.07 area here. And so we'll find out what happens here. But if it comes down into that, I'm definitely looking to be purchasing myself, as well as down in that $2. Again, it all depends on how it's coming into it, right? So if I'm seeing a lot of demand wicks as we're coming down into that zone, that means that buyers want to step in. Buyers are putting in positions, and I'm looking at my 1 hour chart to see if they're really buying into those levels. And so that's really key for me. And I've talked about that multiple times of looking at the hourly 2 hour charts, right, to see, are we getting demand wicks, like demand wick, demand wick, demand wick, demand wick, demand wick, right? That's what I want to see. You could see right here as we came down before we had the skyrocketing area, right? You can see it had a ton of demand wicks as we were coming down. So like, look, demand wick. Let's go to the 2 hour. The 2 hour was really where it was screaming, right? Like you see demand wick, not necessarily down in this level. They still didn't know if they were going to go higher, but you can see here demand wick as it skyrocketed all the way up to the $9 or $10 mark. So That's really what I'm looking at. It's down at this level. That's what I want to see on the 1 hour, 2 hour time frames. More demand wicks as we're being put in, because that means they're buying it at a position. What do you call it? They call them just institutional orders buy in ranges, large ranges, hour charts, 2 hour charts, daily charts, where they're just coming in and they buy it. And so it's something that we want to see. You can see that's what's happening here. Like kind of on the daily, starting to see some demand wicks pushing back up. So this is really where I'd expect to see another pump at that 279 potentially, or the $2 potentially, $2.07 area. All right, so that's in a nutshell there. What was the other one we wanted to go over?
Silver.
All right, so silver has been one of those ones. We've talked about this now in the past, almost ad nauseum, right? We were talking about silver here, and one of the things about silver is we talked about where would it go. So we saw a skyrocket to the $53 mark, right? And I said we've got a few areas that we could see it pull back down to, right? And I was hoping more for the $42 one area, $41 one, but it did not. So we saw it come up into that 46, 45 area. Then we saw it push up to the high. I said get ready for the pullback to the 50. Almost touched our zone here. Hit the 50 period. If we would have paid attention to it, this would have been the area that we would have. I've said, look, either this or this area is where it would be playing off of. And so it came and hit the 50 period moving average. And look, it's actually all the way up now to $61, high of 62. Now, we've talked about this back in, when was this? September 22. What's the AI say when we were really talking about silver? I think it was roughly around also like that 22, 23 cent area back in February of 2024. Maybe even, I want to say even before here, like that 1920 area when we were talking. Have you loaded all our segments into the AI yet? And sit there and be like, hey.
I'm going to have to just get a new one. I'm using my pal. I'm going to try a different one because it just
doesn't work. Okay.
They claim it works, and I say I can't. It's not allowing me to update, not doing this, and like, oh, create a new bot. So I did create a new bot, and it still doesn't work. And they're like, oh, well, it's not meant for exactly what you do. I'm like, it says right here, ingest YouTube videos and parse all your transcripts. Yeah, but it's not really what it's meant for.
Yeah, it kind of gets frustrating.
That's why Pal's price has been going pew.
Pew. All right, so but in the same sense we were talking about, and when we were talking about, I said at that time we saw that gold was at about 2,000 to like 2,500, and whereas silver was ranging literally between 25 and 21 cent. We saw that this was around this period in time, and I said if it's going to get on parity with gold, and if things really get nuts as I think it's going to get, this was back then, I said I would assume that silver is going to go for a run up to at least triple digits, so that it would be on par with gold, which would be a 10. It's basically a 5 to 1 or a 10 to 1. Typically in history, this is where we've seen it fluctuate between. And at that time, it was 100 to 1, right? Because it was at $20, and we saw, or 2025, where we saw gold at $25, right? And I said, if we see a big expansion in
gold at $25.
Excuse me, gold at 2,500. Thank you. We saw gold at 2,500.
How old are you, man?
Well, this is
Mr. Rockefeller.
This is when we saw, and this is when we were talking about gold getting up to that, 3,000, 3,200 to 3,400. Obviously, it far surpassed that last year, right, to the 4,400 mark, which is what we've seen the peak at. And here's the thing, the year is not over yet, so we could see a pump again. But in the same sense, we're watching now the run of silver. Kind of looks like it's trying to get parity with the historical value. You can just see it's outpacing gold in its movement. And so who's buying this? Again, that would be a lot of countries, as well as Federal Reserves are buying this. So there's a lot of demand from major institutions that are buying this. And I would expect them, honestly, to really just keep buying it. And could we potentially see, I did say that we would see triple digit silver. I just, and then I said, I think, what price did I mark it? Yeah, that's what it was right here. So it would be at least at, what was it at, let's say it goes like 15 or 20%, instead of a 5 to 1 ratio or a 10 to 1 ratio. We could potentially see a like a 21 or 20 to 1, potentially maybe even at 50 to 1. And with all that, I said at least it could get to $1.59, is what I would expect. And so that was this area here. Now, if we were to actually see a real parity to where gold is sitting at, that means that we would see a $400, at least a $400 silver. So yeah, I don't want you guys to get in on the FOMO here, right? Let's look at the new levels here that we could basically gauge where the market potentially could get to. Chuck, let us know if you were able to get in on those prices, man. That's pretty epic when it came down to it.
He did. Chuck said when he was in second-year residency and moonlighted a lot, he would buy 10 ounces of silver every weekend he worked. It was in the $15 to $23 range back then. And Draco says, who bought while shit's been down and got the balls of steel?
That's you, baby. That's you.
Just for your English language, English is second language, that's the wrong steel. That's like go steal someone's balls and take them and run, not steel made of hard armor plate or something. Steel is balls, man. I don't need no stinking balls.
Honestly, I won't even know that. I probably spelled it STEAL. So, my first language. But I'm not a speller. Everybody knows that here on the show.
Oh, trust me, we know that.
Got Crown Royal bags full of silver in safe. WTF, I mean.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Point of order, sir. Point of order. Got Crown Royal bags full of silver in safe. So let me get this straight. So you drank a whole bunch of Crown Royal just to get the bag to store your silver. I like that in a man. Good planning. Good planning.
I was thinking about this. If everything falls apart, and say everything just goes to the only real two things that are going to be golden is alcohol. That's like the one, alcohol and the adult industry. The first
only thing is going to be booze and guns and bullets. You got bullets, you can eat. Got no bullets, you can't eat. People can say, "Oh, I've got all this gold right here. It's so great. I'm ready for the apocalypse." Click. Can I have your gold, please? No, I bought this while I was moonlighting as a residency. Thank you. Take your gold. Now my family can eat. Thank you. That's how it's going to be. We don't want that by any means. Chuck says, someone has to do it. Good point, good sir.
All right. So right now, we know that Powell's going to be speaking at 2 o'clock. Right now, there's an anticipation, like I said, for them to lower rates. As Tom has talked about at the beginning of the show, poly market is what is poly market saying?
97% still. I don't think it gets any higher than that. And the money has stopped coming into it. It's like it's only trickled in a little bit since yesterday, so that people are just not betting anymore because they know the result. They're not going to. You have to bet $97 to win 3. Woof. Although there's another article up here that I just scrolled off my feed saying guy turned 3K into 125K on Polymarket.
What did he bet against?
I know I didn't read it. I put it aside to read it, and then the page auto refreshed into something else. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Man, I would almost be worth putting in, $20, or even like an extra $100 just on the other end. If you lose it, you lose it. But if you win and they decide to hold, or they're not gonna. Just if they hold the rate, that 100 goes. What is it? That's 30x. So you literally could do, it could be $3,000 just right off the jump, off 100.
That would be nice.
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, listen, everybody was betting that they were going to drop the rate last month, and they kept it. So all those people who bet for or bet against it won. So it's like it was, you know, and it was a similar situation with the poly market. I know our sister show talks about the how from a betting standpoint, it's not that accurate, right? Like comparatively.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point. I haven't read any articles about that lately. Quickly, Chuck says green candle time here. So I pulled up my chart with the hourly chart with the flag on it, and sure enough, popping out of it. Although I can't see the. Let me. I'm not looking at the volume here. Volume is still stagnant. So it might give a little pump here. I think this is a. Well, what do you think, Pedro? That right before the number gets released, that there's market manipulation. Do you think there's any chance of that at all?
Could be. But I mean,
I would, yeah.
You know,
no doubt that this would be. There's going to be a peak here. It's going to pump a little bit, and then, as they say, sell the news.
Yeah. Yes, you are learning. You are.
It's the pre-dump pump before the dump.
It's the pre-dump pump before the dump. That is epic. That needs to, dude. We need a. Do we have a merch store? We need to get one.
You know what? I set it up. I set it up through Rumble, and it failed verification of my of me. And I couldn't do it, and it's linked to the Rumble account, and I was like, I just need to start over and do it. It's just one of those things. I got the time to do it. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. Yeah, we're sorry, we're unable to verify your identity. I'm like, who cares what identity I have? Who cares? Why does an identity have to be verified to print T-shirts? Well, in case it's a copyright thing, so we gotta know exactly who you are. Blah blah.
Dude,
screw you. Just print the goddamn T-shirt.
Put it underneath me. We can put it underneath me, and then we can both share it. And I want that term. We can put the market on the front, and on the back it says pre-dump or what would you say?
The pre-dump pump.
Oh yeah, the pre-dump pump. I like, you know what I'm saying, with a nice little hoodie. That would be cool, or a nice little like soft cotton T-shirt. Those things, dude, I think would sell. We could do the whoop whoop. You know,
I actually went to Bunker Branding, who has Donut Operator and Ryan Macbeth and those guys, and Matt Best, Black
Coffee, Black Rifle Coffee, Black Rifle Coffee.
Black Rifle Coffee and all those guys. I was like, hey, what does it take? I'm small here, but what does it take to have you guys do our T-shirts and merch stuff? And they say, it says, hi, Tom. We looked at your channel. It's really nice. We enjoy it. One of our guys here actually really enjoys your show, blah, blah, blah. Except you have to have a minimum of 500,000 followers on YouTube. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's...
Little bit to go. But, that was...
Wait, so he says one of the guys watches us?
Yeah, one of the, the T-shirt. And when they went to view our show, and they're like, oh, it's a good show. And apparently the guy watched it while they were reviewing it or something. He said, yeah, I like Bitcoin and I like this type of stuff. Not the influencer guy. It's just the dude in the T-shirt shop hitting the sell button or print button or whatever.
Yeah. If you're still watching us, right? Hook a brother up, man. Let's figure out a way that we can all make money in this. And if I start seeing Pedro Damas, whoop whoop, right? It must go up before it goes down, before it goes up. Like those little things. Some of our.
Yes, I know you can use Vistaprint there, Draco. I was just wanting the cool guy site. No, but the reason I was talking about Rumble has an integrated thing that's supposed to work fine, but just my identity gets it. I can always just make one and put it in the comment section. It doesn't have to be linked. Lightsaber wars on the 1 minute chart. Oh yeah, you know what? That's right. This is with the volatility going on. We need to be looking at the 1 minute chart just for shits and giggles.
Check this out here real quick. There you go. Yeah. Boom. Do the 1 minute. So check this out, dude. I think this is so funny, dude. It's not funny because they're just messing with people, but it's just like, look at it. We're gonna take it up. Now we're gonna take it from you, and then we're gonna take it up again. So it's just, it's one of those things that's funny. Yeah, nice little play, but there's no demand or no supply wick, so I'm more opposite. They're saying it's gonna go back up. How much time do we have? We got 15 minutes before the numbers come out. 17 minutes. What's going to be really interesting to see is what's actually going to happen within the market at large. If they do drop the market and they drop it, okay, right? How is it that you can sit there and say that this market is an actual real market? Because it looks like it's just being manipulated, right? Now it's just kind of obvious. It's really obvious that the manipulation is there. When you look at the S&P 500, we've talked about this now a couple times where we have a low, right? Or we have a low. We now have a lower low right here. We have a high, a lower high. Even though it's a higher high here, it's still a lower high compared to this high here. All-time high. And hearing Trump literally say we're gonna be at all-time highs always through my presidency, I sat there and I was like, oh man, don't say that. You know that the banks, now that everybody knows they're gonna keep buying, they're gonna take the other side and short it. Why would you say that? That's literally one of the things. And and he might have just to come out and say, stop playing around, guys. You're making me look bad, right? And they're gonna be like, dude, you're the one who hurt yourself. You know how we work. Come on now. So it's gonna be real interesting. They're gonna back them. We'll see. We shall see.
What's funny is that Pedro, for the past week or so, I've had a demo trade on that it was at a different spot in the different market structure completely here, but this green line right above here, it's 92.6 is my order point there, and I get in the market when it was on it. That was a low, and I got it, wrote it up, but it was a demo trade, and I'm just letting it sit there because it was a trade I wanted to take most out at about 95,000. And then let the balance ride to try to get that 100,000 level you and I have been talking about for a while here. And here it is right on Fed Day. It's right, my break-even point is right in between where the shenanigans are going on. I'm like, in profits, in losses, in profits, in losses. You're winning, you're losing, loser more, winner, loser. It's just right. It's so funny how that just works out. You're like, how can that be? Yep, well, that's the market.
Well, it means
that is the market.
Well, it just means that your trading is trading like the
Suspect.
novices.
Suspect.
You're trading like the novices, people who are still learning what the market is doing. It's
actually, but I just decided to put that trade on and then just leave it until it hit our goals.
Gotcha. Okay.
But anyway, Pedro, I just noticed 55 people have tuned into us on Twitter today, on X today.
I saw that. Yeah.
I tried a new strategy. Yeah, yes. I tried a new strategy with X today, and it seems to have paid off. So instead of on X trying to redirect people to Rumble or to YouTube, that doesn't seem. I was trying to see if pointing people to our broadcast on X would get more visibility on their feeds, and it seems to be doing it.
Just simply going through their own system. Shocking.
And all the people do that. Like LinkedIn derate. Anytime you put an external link on LinkedIn, they just derate the crap out of you.
Oh, look at what Chuck just said. I want a t-shirt with Pedro drowning in water. Bro.
No, downing the water.
Oh, downing the water. That is. Oh, you're right. Sorry, the eyes, y'all know. Yes, dude. Take the pic right now. We're gonna make a T-shirt.
Dude, I used to turn your camera off when you do that, but now the entertainment value is so epic. It's
it's almost it's comical. You know, as you said, the elephant. Dude, what should the caption be? Damas downing the Marcus. Damas, anyways. Digesting the markets. But whoop whoop.
Anyway, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I don't, for some reason, can't find the. I was going to spend a second or two talking about the Rumble wallet here. I think they've enabled it now so that the Rumble wallet appears that it's in like the next stage of beta, and they've enabled the Rumble wallet. It says tip, right? And I need someone to test this out to tell me if it works. You can send us $1 or something like that. I'll send it back to you if you want. Right below me, if you're watching on the desktop, and probably on your phone too, it says tip. If somebody could be so nice as to go ahead and install the Rumble wallet and get it to work, I'd appreciate it.
That would help. I like these. Look at it. H2O YOR. Good. I really like the slurp. Slurp gains while you sleep.
H2O with DYOR. H2O with DYOR. Yeah, that almost works there.
Yeah.
No, I can't say it.
What's up?
The sound you make doing that resembles another sound that you hear on certain types of shows. So.
Oh, really? When I drink? I didn't know that. Oh, dude.
I knew it. It's only Wednesday. Oh no, wait. It's Wednesday, and this type of humor is reserved for like Friday evening shows.
It is. We're like, yeah, I turned to that show and it's completely derogatory and
there's this chicken guy talking about slurping, slurp, and then the host guy is going.
I would say one more time. Do it for me. As we're talking market, you know what? Prof G. I don't know if you guys. I like their web. I don't like the guys, like a lot of his political things, but I like him because he's honest, he's open, he's real, and he allows for real discord, right? Which I like. And the CE, and so he's a guy. He's always talking mad crazy crap, dude, just to make people feel awkward. Guy runs a firm, and plus he does a podcast, and it's cool. The guy he's famous. He's gone all over the place. He's been on Bill Maher and a few other left-wing crazies. And so but I like listening to him. And so, but he makes people feel so awkward. He'd be like, do you have a bulge in your pants? What's wrong with you? Just a weird, if you go watch Prof G, they talk a lot about the market, and he's a young guy who kind of holds the structure of everything. And then there's the, that's what's up. Fired chicken. Appreciate you.
I was entertained. Carry on. Donation $5. But you used the regular way of doing it with a card, not the crypto wallet, correct? Just let me know, because I'm unable to tell the difference at this point. But thank you very much, Chuck. We really appreciate it. And we're glad our entertaining can entertain you more than this shenanigans going on the BTC 1 minute chart here.
Shout out also Cecilia. Let me finish up because I don't think we finished up on silver. So I like silver coming back down to 56, but really looking at that $3 or $53 mark is really kind of what I'm looking at, right? Which is a previous high. If that if that sell-off goes further, we could come back and test the lows of that 46 area before we see it continue higher. So kind of got three areas here ranging between that 56, 53, as well as that 47 area. So be ready for those. You can already see that it's kind of putting in a topping pattern right here. So this is where I'm kind of expecting a pullback here into these areas ultimately. Oh, you didn't really see that. Shoot. I'm gonna bring that over again. Let me redo that again.
You can mostly see it.
Let me just make sure. I'm really looking at, like I said, that 56 area, that 53 and or 47 area as we see it. We're putting that topping pattern back in, so I kind of see something kind of come on like this, potentially come back down, and then pushing back up. So just want to give you guys a heads up so you can see. The other part behind it as well is, and I think what's even interesting is that I'm waiting for charts to start being traded on Polymarket. Like, that's the thing I think they're going to start messing with. Like, that would be the money, because they could charge fees on the trade like what they're doing right now. But if you could sit there and, let's say, every 5 minute or change, you could bet against the change of the drop, you know, like that would be cool. I would like to do that. That would actually be really cool. And the data points that would actually bring, I think, would be really interesting. When you talk about a derivative, I mean, you're talking 3 levels there deep, right? Derivative is just the bet. Then you're actually going through, and then you're betting. I guess that's 2 derivatives. So that would literally allow you to be able to kind of make profit as the market fluctuate back and forth, percentage of it going up or percentage going down, you know. I think that would be pretty epic. And then there could be options that correlate with that, right? Expirations that correlate with that. I'm looking forward to that type of fun trading. Chuck says, Baby Draco also says, yeah, I have Apple devices that wouldn't play nice with Wallet right now. So that was fire.
Yeah, apparently the Rumble Wallet only properly works with Android devices right now, which is reverse of what the normal is. Normally people release Apple first because Apple has one standard. You make the app one way. With Android, you have to make it fit 80,000 different screens. So it's kind of opposite. Anyway, thanks. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has commented here. Unemployment is down, jobs and wages are up. We're building big and empowering more Canadians with new careers. Even with strong global headwinds, there is encouraging progress, and we're just getting started. First of all, he's full of shit. Second of all, let me tell you, this is a side note as we've come up to the thing here. This man, when he was head of Brookfield Management, let me tell you how to buy something with other people's money. He's head of Brookfield Management, and he started a new fund, I forget what it was called, but an energy fund. And this energy fund was going to invest in energy projects and stuff like that. At the time, he was the unofficial advisor to Justin Trudeau, economic advisor, giving him advice what to do. And he was able to get the uranium industry tax-free status for trade, tariffs, and all this type of stuff. And trade deals with some other countries on uranium. And then he pushed forward the government of Canada looking into nuclear power. And then he got the Canada Pension Fund to drop a couple of $1 billion into his energy fund. And then he bought the company Westinghouse, which makes nuclear reactors, ladies and gentlemen. And then, in essence, he became the chairman of Westinghouse without using any of his own money.
Well, that's how the game is played.
And this man is a master at it. And the problem isn't that he did such a good job. The problem is that he used taxpayers' money to fund his initiatives. And the way the deals are, I've been watching the videos and talking to the people that monitor this stuff, and they're like, yeah. And not only that, he did it so that the Canada Pension Fund has all the risk. And he got paid commissions and all that. It's called front-loading the whole deal with commissions for multi-years out. And I'm like, it's you Canadian viewers, you watch. Something's not going to end well here in a couple of years. Some scandal's going to bring this one down. Rough.
Well, listen, you Canadians, you guys are such nice guys. I can't see you guys doing anything dishonest like
that. Here's M2 tweets, the Amish don't need food stamps and they have tons of children. All right, well, we got 3 minutes left here. Another side story, the big kerfuffle going on in Polk County, Florida. Polk County, Florida is a place where I used to sell SWAT trucks to the sheriff's department there. They have one of the most epic sheriffs down there. I can't remember his name right now. But he's out there. He's the guy that gets up there and says, why your officer shot him 65 times. Why did he do that? And he said, well, he didn't have any more bullets, and he says things like, why are you guys posting all those people's pictures on the internet? He's like, they're criminals. We don't want them around here. We want them to get out of here. We don't want people to interact with them. He just comes right out and says all the things that everyone's always thinking. I don't know if it was a baseball or a football team came down from Philadelphia, and it was a 14 and 15-year-old league, and their players during the time that they were not playing decided to go to Dick's Sporting Goods and just steal everything. They just walked in. It didn't care if there were tons of cameras. They just walked in, started stuffing them, and started walking out. And the police showed up immediately and arrested them all. And said, hey, we arrested these guys. Here's the video of them doing it. Here are their pictures, all this type of stuff. And the coaches and the parents came racing over to the police station, wait a minute, you can't arrest them. They're just kids, And the guy's he's like, oh, you're the parents? Oh, we may arrest you too, also, for not keeping charge of you. In Polk County, juveniles need to be supervised by parents. And they're like, what, huh? And he's like, yes, people go to jail for this type of stuff, even juveniles. They have to go to juvie home. They have to pay restitution. They have to do all this type of stuff. And in Philadelphia, it's a blue city, and they just let people go. So they don't prosecute shoplifting like in Chicago. And the kids are all like, what do you mean? Wait, we don't get to go home? The sheriff's epic speech, just no, you come to Polk County, you commit crimes. He said, we have the lowest crime in Florida because we enforce the laws. He said, we have a lot lower crime than Philadelphia. Let me tell you that. We don't put up with this shit. People coming in and just stealing stuff from our thing. We're going to respond. Store security calls us, says we got shoplifters. We come and we arrest you. And the parents were like, but you're going to ruin their lives. And the sheriff literally said, no, you're the one ruining their lives by allowing them to shoplift. It was just an epic takedown of people that did no responsibility whatsoever. Oh, that was a sidetrack altogether, but just filling time before we watch the shenanigans happen with the numbers here. Let me bring up Forex Factory here, and we'll watch it as it's released. It says pending here. Pending. I gotta put my screen on. And it's behind me. Oops. Pending. There's the number right there, ladies and germs. Oh, that's the federal budget balance. No, that's not what we want. Oh, the federal funds rate is 3.75% released.
All right. Dude, so they kept it?
Wait, that's not right.
Second here.
Now, the previous was 4, and so they brought it down to 3.75.
Yeah, 25 basis points. Yep. Yeah, so they did. So the market, wow, barely a move. That is so interesting. Serious. Is this the calm before the storm? I mean, it's barely even. I would have thought that thing would have been screaming up. I mean, I guess it did. I mean, I guess when you look at it, it went from 45 all the way to 60. But I thought it was, I mean, which is a lot. I'm not saying it's not a lot. But I thought it was going to go like 30, 40 points, 50 points. Because typically what happens is it'll move like double the hour rate or double the within like the 5-minute mark. So like if you look at the ATR, right, like it would be at least double. So that'd be 20. I guess so. That's 28. It's about right. That's a little thing for you guys. So on FOMC, many time or major, this is one of the things that I look at. I want to see how far the market may go. So one of the things that I use as a metric is I'll take the daily as well as the hourly ATR, and I will double it. And so these are basic kind of turning points that you can see the market go to, right, on these big, huge moves. So sometimes you'll see a big push wherever the market is at to a price point of double what the ATR is on the hour chart. And or you could also see a big move if it was something like this, right? And I think the market already priced this in. But what's interesting is you saw the market, you could see a big move of almost a daily or double ATR of the daily within an hour where it just skyrockets. So one of those things I'm kind of looking at. BTC selling off here right now, which is
quite volatile, as they say.
BTC. As you can see here, like I was saying earlier this morning, I just am not 100% convinced that BTC was gonna push up here. You can see here that the Ethereum trade is probably selling off as well now as well. So you can see here starting to come down here on the 5-minute. This is where we could see it at least pull back to that 3104. So that looks like a good play to play on a short here. Your stop would be roughly around that 3400 where the peak is at, and you want to run this all the way down potentially to that 3120 area. Nice little 5-to-1 play there, if not higher. Always use a stop. Oh, come on. And for whatever reason, it's not working again. Can you see me? Oh,
yeah.
You cannot.
I can see
You can see me?
Yep.
You can see my face? Is it moving?
Yep. No, it is not moving.
Okay.
You look very determined, though.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not wanting to go again. Let's try this. Let's do this.
Here, what we have up here, ladies and gentlemen, is the 30-second chart here on TradingView. Although, as Pedro would say, lots of demand wicks here on the 30-second chart. Keep an eye out. We might see a big boom back up. Although volume dropping off, so maybe not. If we have demand wicks and volume increasing, then that's all good.
I should probably. I got to get going. I got to get on the on another conference call here, but it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys again. And Tom, let's see if we can get that. I'd love to see if people buy our stuff. It'd be cool, you know. Check out our merch.
I'll do it.
I'll
do it.
I mean,
I'll revisit it.
I think the faithfuls would definitely. I think we could at least get 4 or 5 of the stuff for our guys to go check out, and then also put a QR code for our show on Rumble on it, so that if people want to know, you'd be like, check these guys out. They're really entertaining.
I'll put it right down over next to Elon over there. I'll put a QR code for the merch store.
Yeah, and then also when they buy their merch, put like a QR code right here, like on the shoulder of the piece, right? So that they can, if somebody wants to, like, what is that?
Big brain over there. Big brain thinking.
I'm just regurgitating what you've talked about. You just forgot. So it's all about you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for Pedro for joining us today, giving him the expert analysis. He's off to another conference call. I'm going to stick around just for a little bit to see if Mr. Jerome has anything to say that's worthwhile. Although it's snowing like hell out, maybe I'll go skiing. No,
Listen, if you go snowboarding, oh yeah, you're a skier. You're not a snowboarder. I forgot. Junior is though, right? Junior's a snowboarder.
Skier. He thinks like me. He's like independent suspension versus single solid axle suspension. Think independent suspension is better.
I would agree. I do not disagree with the logic.
I told him, I said, I don't care what you do. You do whatever you want. However, I said, when you're learning, you're going to learn to ski first. And once you learn to ski, and I'm paying for it, then you can do whatever you want. You can snowboard and hike. I don't care, but I'm not schlepping your ass. The parents that have to schlep kids around while they're teaching them to snowboard, their life sucks. They pay hundreds of dollars to go out and just pick their kid up off the snow all day and push them in the flats. People that teach their kids to ski, especially kids that know how to ice skate, they don't have any problems in the flats. They just skate. Choo, 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 choo. Get places, pick themselves up because they can. I was watching another dad do it. I'm like, dude, teach him to ski, then teach. And he's like, yeah, that's a good point. I should do that. It's like,
you know what I did? So my friends took me up. I think I was like 19 or 20 when I learned how to snowboard. And no, 19. Yeah, 19 was 19 or 18. They took me up to a black diamond and basically said, all right, so what you gonna do? And basically, see ya. And they're like, stay on this road right here. And I'm like, what? And I spent 2.5 hours falling. Just falling. So I got all the falls out of the way. And then finally towards the end, I'm figuring it out how to carve and all this stuff, right? And so finally they basically went on a few runs and then chilled out for about 2 hours or about like 30 minutes, knowing that I'd be down there because it would take 2 hours for me falling over and over and over to figure it out. But they knew me enough to go, we'll just take them on and let them fall enough times and he'll figure it out. So I'm a huge proponent. I had one friend who was solid, Tommy McKernan, great guy, man, great dude. His whole entire crew, guys are awesome. Anyways, he was there with me going, all right, so you don't know how to do this, so let me show you a little. And so basically he just saw me keep eating it over and over. So he had a blast watching me fall and eat it. And figured it out. So I don't know. I would say let your kids fall. Take 2 hours, take them on a black diamond and drop, right? They'll be all right. No.
I love it. I just, what I love about it is I love going into the mountains when it's like a little bit warm. I mean, I'll go anytime, but I love going into the Rocky Mountains when it's a little warmer and you get up to the top of the mountain and the air is crystal clear and the sun's beating down on you. And you take those big carving turns through the trees and stuff like that. And it's my place. It's my place.
It feels like flying, right?
Just like our dream, our quantum dreams. It's my state of quantumness.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, Pedro, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate all the talk, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see Pedro again tomorrow around the same time.
Much love, guys. Be safe out there.
We're watching the feed here for the Fed. Let's see if I can turn El Pedro off there. And here, wait till Jerome starts talking before we head off the air today. It's still 15 minutes away or so. I did have a couple of things in news that I thought would entertain you guys. If it flips over to that, there we go. First of all, Lunar Pump Fun. Lunar Pump Fun. Special Moon or Dust Primetime Edition today. Where is the Moon or Dust guys here? Damn chips. There's a coin called FCKU. Hopium. Okami. Gold, Greta, Tard, 40 trillion. All about the same market cap of 3.84 thousand. Only rose. DeFi Sean is his own token. Degen, Hedge. Don't bond me. Don't bond. Just don't do it. Sad Cat, help me beat schizophrenia. A Jan Michael Vincent coin. That's epic. Earth. Lunar Pump Fun Live looks like a coin just to broadcast the show. Charlie Kirk coin. Happy Cat. You guys. These. Why don't I see Moon or Dust on here? Let's find YouTube. Moon or dust. .fun with hyphens. That's why I didn't have it, right? This.
Or for yourself. Just don't dust. Tuesday, audience edition. Wednesday, prime time. Thursday, microcap. Think you can take on the whales and walk away with a fat bag? Be our guest. For free. Moon or Dust, the most bullish game show in crypto. Visit moon-or-dust.fun for details.
Moon or dust, ladies and gentlemen. You got to watch the game show. It's actually pretty good. Especially when they get a couple of times there's been like rejects on the show, like that fire chicken guy. Or just people that don't talk much. And there's other times that people really get into it. And those are really good episodes of making some monies. Go to moon or dust.fun. You got it. And no, Pedro and I don't own any Moon or Dust, but I do watch the show. Where did our music go? All right, that's not what I want to do. I don't know why I had this article about the EU opening another antitrust probe about Google. I don't know why I'm worrying about access to its AI. I mean, there's 80,000 good AIs out there now, and Google, for sure, does not have any sort of monopoly on anything in that. Oh, yeah. Connecticut wanted to say that the prediction markets were gambling. It was gambling, and they don't have a state gambling license. They haven't approved. They haven't paid off all the right state officials as bribes. They haven't done any of the stuff they're supposed to do yet to have a gambling establishment. And Calci went to court and said, we're not gambling. And the judge sided with Calci. That's right. The federal judge has ordered Connecticut regulators to refrain from enforcement action against prediction market Calci pending a preliminary injunction decision. The order follows cease and desist letters Connecticut issued to Calci, Robinhood, and Crypto.com over alleged unlicensed sports gambling. Calci always says CFTC designation grants exclusive federal jurisdiction, while Connecticut claims the contracts violate state gaming laws. I got bad news for Connecticut. Got bad news for them. Once the Fed say it's okay, guess what? They granted a national rule saying that the prediction markets are not sports betting and not gambling. I don't know how they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. That is not in my purview. I mean, clearly it's betting. It's the old, if it, normally courts and this type of thing say, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Well, it's a duck. The order follows Connecticut's Department of Consumer Protection issues cease and desist letters to Calci, Robin, and Crypto, demanding they halt their operations in the state over what regulators label as unlicensed online sports gambling. Temporary pause remain in place until the court's decision for a preliminary injunction. The company said it operates under exclusive federal jurisdiction as a CFTC designated contract market, making state gambling regulations inapplicable. Yep, I have a feeling that the states had just been outmaneuvered by the gambling companies by going to the federal level. And it's no different. A lot of municipalities have rules in states, and people go to the state level to override the municipal laws. And that happens at the federal level too. No, a bunch of states do it do things badly, they make a federal law, overrides the states. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. You can do it. Where was that other article? Yeah, yesterday I talked about this, but not all of you were here watching it. How many have I got here? I still got a decent crowd here today. Thank you very much to everyone that's joining us. Did you know that a privacy version of USDC stablecoin, of Circle's USDC stablecoin, is coming out? That's right. It's in the testnet phase on the Alio. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Blockchain. Circle heard, they put the word out. What do you want to see the Circle company provide you as products? And people overwhelmingly got back to them and said, we want to be able to transact in your USDC without having all these fly-by-night companies and big data brokers and aggregators watch every one of our transactions, hoover up, sell that information, dox us who we are. Not in the form of trying to stay secret from the government to hide taxes, but we want to stay private so all these companies don't know exactly what we're buying and where we're moving money to and how much money we have. That's private stuff. And I realize that by using credit cards and debit cards, we're essentially selling all that information anyway, but you can choose to use cash and all that type of stuff. You can also choose to use temporary card numbers when you do buy online. That's what I do. So if your online market gets hacked, you don't lose your data. You don't have to worry about that. And the people that track it don't get any new information. Data, all good stuff. And so USDC said, you know what? We're going to come out with a privacy coin that keeps your transactions private, but still follows all the federal regulations. Essentially, it makes it like the banking industry. The government and law enforcement has access to all that data if they need it through various ways, usually a warrant or a subpoena, something like that. But the bank, has that wall up that keeps your exact transactions private, and that's what Circle's going to do. And I think it's going to be huge because we've seen Monero start getting out of control with its price. We saw the rise of Zcash. Let's check Zcash today. Zcash at $432. It got as high as 800 or something like that. Just booped up. But anyway, right now it's trading at its at a very high level compared to where it's been the past few years. Monero XMR, $406. Monero still it's going to bust its all-time high, or I shouldn't say all-time high, yearly high here pretty soon. I think that was 440 or something like that. Anyway, but the Monero prices varied between 380 and 410. How about that? That's a big move, up 7% today. But I thought that would be really interesting for you guys to know if you hadn't already known that. Let's see, we're waiting for these guys to start here. Oh, and the shilling that's going on in the chat here behind me for the AP's feed. It's monumental. It is every meme token, shit token, you name it. It's ripping through that chat. You know what? I bet you it's time to read a commercial. Why don't we do that? Let me refresh the commercials here. Who's going to pay me the most? I think it's going to be Perplexity. I like it when the AI people sponsor this show. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, are you looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get the Perplexity Pro Bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st. It's normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content like our stuff. Yeah, that's right. No interruptions, just the videos and streams that you love anytime, anywhere. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity while unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code right over there on that side of the screen over there that says, get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium today. Do it. Hold your phone up to your screen. Click that QR code. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers. We'd really appreciate it. It helps Pedro and I out greatly. If you're watching on your cell phone, there's a little link in the chat that says go visit. Use the code word Rumble at rumble.com/premium. Do it before December 31st. That's right. Why? Because I told you to. Anyway, thanks to Rumble and Perplexity AI for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. You know, it's kind of weird is that I have over here on this side of the screen. Oh God, I can't see it. The AI is running. Oh, so funny. Take a look at the numbers once again. Okay, when the Twitter does better than expected, or the X. I think one of these days I'll stop calling it. $58 views there, which is good for us. Total so far today, a total of 74 people, and I bet you it's going to push over 200 today. Very nice. I'm very, very happy with that. Yes, I'm just trying to get some filler in here while we wait the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes before we watch them come on. I wonder if I can get Bloomberg on here. That's usually a better feed. Let's see, where is that?
Relief coming there.
Where's your lack of conviction? Matt Lazzetti on an Outlook and off of his Fed meeting today. Where's the question of your conviction into next year? What are you most worried about?
Got a haircut, a new bow tie.
Yeah, I think in the very near term, it's that the labor market dynamic, which is this fragile equilibrium with low hiring and low firing, breaks to the downside. That you begin to see layoffs pick up. I really don't think we see that evidence as of yet, but it's a real risk over the next several months.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was also
over
the
the
chairman
course
of
of 2026, I think there's some risks to the upside here. As Bob mentioned, on the fiscal side, the stimulus checks that have been floated, not part of our baseline, but would be a very real upside risk.
Same time as being
and then I think we just can't put aside these risks around Fed independence. And we heard Treasury Secretary Bessent talking about regional Fed presidents, and we have to go through those votes. And you have a Supreme Court case for Lisa Cook coming up early next year. So I think that there are a lot of risks associated with it. From a Fed independence perspective, inflation risk potentially to come, long end of the bond market also at risk potentially from that.
Matt, we have about 3.5 minutes before the press conference begins. From your perspective, what's the one question you have for Fed Chair Jay Powell, potentially at the last Fed cut that he oversees?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit around the language that they introduced into the labor market and into the statement. How are we to think about that? Is that clearly sending a signal that there's a much higher bar in the near term? I also would ask him, are you internalizing what could be a very weak jobs report next week in today's decision? I think that's a really important thing for the market. I think the Fed would probably want to take out some of the sensitivity to next week's data.
All right, well,
the reason that Chair
when I
Powell wanted to
turned
push
this on, I
this
thought we had
rate
2
cut
minutes
through
left. Apparently
was an
we still had
expectation you
4
could see some
minutes
weakness
left.
there. My expectation
So
is
while this is
next
going
week's
on
data
in
is
the
gonna be
background, I'll keep
volatile.
this
They are really putting more weight
in
on
the
December
background
jobs report
here.
in early January.
Watch the shenanigans
and
going
early
on with
next year in that
BTC. This is a
assessment, but I'd like to get
30-second chart
confirmation of
here.
that from the chair today.
Matt Lazzetti, thank you as always for your time.
Plenty of
and I look
volatility
forward
here,
to
but
hearing
not
what you
trading
think
out of range.
after the Fed
So, in other
conference.
words,
This is
there's
an
very low
important point.
volume.
How much is this in some ways
Let's go to the,
forecasting that December
let's say
16th
5-minute
jobs report
chart
that we
here.
should have already had. It should have been the sort of 1-2 punch from last Friday.
Lots
We
of
got
volume
November
on
jobs
the
report. They took that data into hand, and then this meeting,
when the number was released here,
Yeah, I think
ended
you
up
can
being
go
more
back to
sellers than
September
buyers.
and say,
Thus we had
this is another risk management
a red candle there.
adjustment
On my
to
chart, they're
policy,
white.
That there are some signs of a soft labor market.
But you can see
you're far away
in
from
the,
what you're forecasting as
let's
your
switch
neutral
to
rate. Why not
a minute.
take another 25 basis
You can see in the flag
points
that I
off of
drew.
that? It will help corporate America. I'll
we've
get a lot
actually
of
jumped
questions
out of
in
the
next
flag.
few days.
We've
Does
come back
25
down
basis
to it,
points
but we're
actually do
breaking out of
anything?
it.
Let's
We're trading
remember,
above
most
the
of
weekly
corporate
open.
America are small and middle
We're
market
trading,
businesses. Think of a $50 million EBITDA company. They generally have 7
Which one
times
is the
leverage.
monthly
They've
open?
got
The monthly open is
$350
down below.
million
Trading above the
worth of
weekly open
debt
and above
on
the
top of
monthly
$50
open.
million in
Oh, here's
EBITDA.
the
It helps
monthly
them
open
a
here.
lot. It helps stabilize middle market corporate
This
America
line here's the monthly open.
significantly.
If we say it's an
Weekly
original
open
meeting,
and price
we've got
action.
to stagger to the next meeting, and we'll be wiser. We'll have data and all that. But as Lisa mentioned, at the
But
top
going
of the
to
show,
where I was
the
trying to
political
see where this
overlay
week
is
was gonna go.
extraordinary. What did J.P. Morgan's Washington experts say about the politics of January?
ultimately,
Well, the question I
yeah, this
would
is the
want
last
to
week in
ask
December.
Powell
This is the
is,
second last week. This is the
were
third
there
to
only
last, the
3
second week in
cents, or
December,
was there a
which would be this
considerable
week,
amount of
and we're
bargaining
predicting a
to go
down
from
week
5 cents to 3
for the
cents?
market.
And was
Now,
that
Pedro and I
statement,
have this drawn
and
here
then you
because we
ratcheted
felt that it was going to get up to 95,
0.5% from
at least
where you
95,000.
were at the last summary of
Possibly
economic
trade up to
projections.
100,000
His answers
before
to
coming back
questions
down
like
into
that
the 80s.
will tell you
Not
how
sure if that's the
politically
case or not.
influenced the current Federal
Today is a
Reserve
different
Board.
kind of day. Would like to see trading the last 2 hours of today's trading day, and then really watch Asia's open and London's open tonight to get a gauge of whether to see if the week's going to start its trending down or trending up to 95,000 before kicking it at the end of the week down.
Message coming from it. The S&P up 1/10%. Nasdaq still suffering a little bit, down 0.2% suffering, I say. Still near all-time highs. And the Russell 2000 seeing that pop up 0.6%. What you are seeing in the bond space, 2s, 10s, and 30s, is this lift to bond price down.
But anyway,
yield.
thanks to all of
People
you
expect
still
to
watching
see
out there.
some sort of
Still a
bond
bunch of you
purchases
watching.
as
Really
well as a
appreciate
rate
it.
cut coming in next year.
A couple of
It
you
really
watching on
seems to me
YouTube.
that Jay Powell really has the chance to split the
Even had a
difference.
few over on Twitch. They had apparently we had a real streamer or a real viewer because the
Well, let's
scammers
take a
always
listen
put
to
comments
Fed
in
Chair
like
Jerome
buy
Powell
viewers
at his
here.
last press conference that of the year and potentially
All right, here we go.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Although important federal government data for the past couple of months have yet to be released, available public and private sector data suggests that the outlook for employment and inflation has not changed as much since our meeting in October.
As much.
Conditions in the labor market appear to be gradually cooling, and inflation remains somewhat elevated.
Let me know you guys can hear this okay.
In support of our goals, in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point. As a separate matter, we also decided to initiate purchases of shorter-term Treasury securities solely for the purpose of maintaining an ample supply of reserves over time, thus supporting effective control of our policy rate. I will have more to say about monetary policy and its implementation after briefly reviewing economic developments. Although some key government data have yet to be released, available indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a moderate pace. Consumer spending appears to have remained solid, and business fixed investment has continued to expand. In contrast, activity in the housing sector remains weak. The temporary shutdown of the federal government has likely weighed on economic activity in the current quarter, but these effects should be mostly offset by higher growth next quarter, reflecting the reopening. In our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects that real GDP will rise 1.7% this year and 2.3% next year, somewhat stronger than projected in September. In the labor market, although official employment data for October and November are delayed, available evidence suggests that both layoffs and hiring remain low, and that both households' perceptions of job availability and firms' perceptions of hiring difficulty continue to decline. The official report on the labor market for September, the most recent release, showed that the unemployment rate continued to edge up, reaching 4.4%, and that job gains had slowed significantly since earlier in the year. A good part of the slowing likely reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and labor force participation, though labor demand has clearly softened as well. In this less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen in recent months. In our SEP, the median projection of the unemployment rate is 4.5% at the end of this year and edges down thereafter. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to have risen in recent months. In our SEP, the median projection of the unemployment rate is 4.5% at the end of this year and edges down thereafter. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Very little data on inflation have been released since our meeting in October. Total PCE prices rose 2.8% over the 12 months ending in September, and excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices also rose 2.8%. These readings are higher than earlier in the year as inflation for goods has picked up, reflecting the effects of tariffs. In contrast, disinflation appears to be continuing for services. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have declined from their peaks earlier in the year, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal.
Service inflation.
The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation is 2.9% this year and 2.4% next year, a bit lower than the median projection in September. Thereafter, the median falls to 2%. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the target range for the federal funds rate by a 1/4 percentage point to 3.5 to 3.75%. In the near term, risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside, a challenging situation. There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate this tension between our employment and inflation goals. A reasonable base case is that the effects of tariffs on inflation will be relatively short-lived, effectively a one-time shift in the price level. Our obligation is to make sure that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. But with downside risks to employment having risen in recent months, the balance of risks has shifted. Our framework calls for
Remember,
us to
the
take a
tariffs
balanced
only
approach
add
in promoting both
to the
sides of
price
our
just
dual
one
mandate.
time, and then it's at that price.
Accordingly,
It doesn't
judged
keep
it
adding
appropriate at this meeting
15%
to
each
lower
time the
our policy
product's
rate by a
imported.
1/4 percentage point.
I mean, it doesn't keep raising the price. It
With
raises
today's
it to a new
decision, we
price
have lowered
level,
our policy rate
and then the inflation
3/4 of a
ends.
percentage point over our last 3 meetings. This further normalization of our policy stance should help stabilize the labor market while allowing inflation to resume its downward trend toward 2% once the effects of tariffs have passed through. The adjustments to our policy stance since September bring it within a range of plausible estimates of neutral and leave us well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments to our policy rate based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our summary of economic projections, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path of the federal funds rate under what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario for the economy. The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.4% at the end of 2026 and 3.1% at the end of 2027, unchanged from September. As is always the case, these individual forecasts are subject to uncertainty, and they're not a committee plan or decision. Monetary policy is not on a preset course, and we will make our decisions on a meeting-by-meeting basis. Let me turn now to issues related to the implementation of monetary policy, with the reminder that these issues are separate from and have no implications for the stance of monetary policy. In light of the continued tightening in money market interest rates relative to our administered rates and other indicators of reserve market conditions, the committee judged that reserve balances have declined to ample levels. Accordingly, at today's meeting, the committee decided to initiate purchases of shorter-term Treasury securities, mainly Treasury bills, for the sole purpose of maintaining an ample supply of reserves over time. Such increases in our securities holdings ensure that the federal funds rate remains within its target range and are necessary because the growth of the economy leads to rising demand over time for our liabilities, including currency and reserves. As detailed in a statement released today by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, reserve management purchases will amount to $40 billion in the first month and may remain elevated for a few months to alleviate expected near-term pressures in money markets. Thereafter, we expect the size of reserve management purchases to decline, though the actual pace will depend on market conditions. In our implementation framework, an ample supply of reserves means that the federal funds rate and other short-term interest rates are primarily controlled by the setting of our administered rates, rather than day-to-day discretionary interventions in money markets. In this regime, standing repurchase agreement, or repo operations, are a critical tool to ensure that the federal funds rate remains within its target range, even on days of elevated pressures in money markets. Consistent with this view, the committee eliminated the aggregate limit on standing repo operations. These operations are intended to support monetary policy implementation and smooth market functioning and should be used when economically sensible. To conclude, the Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing our inflation sustainably down to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. At the Fed, we will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Howard.
Thank you. Howard Schneider with Reuters. Just first turning to the statement, just to be clear, we're on the same page here. The insertion of the phrase, considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments, does that indicate that the Fed is now on hold until there's some clearer signal from inflation or jobs or the evolution of the economy along the baseline outlook?
So, yes, the adjustments since September bring our policy within a broad range of estimates of neutral. And as we noted in our statement today, we are well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. That new language points out that we'll carefully evaluate that incoming data. And also, I would note that having reduced our policy rate by 75 basis points since September and 175 basis points since last September, the Fed funds rate is now within a broad range of estimates of its neutral value, and we are well positioned to wait to see how the economy evolves.
And if I could follow up on the outlook there, it seems like with the additional GDP growth coupled with easing inflation and a fairly steady unemployment rate, this seems like a pretty optimistic outlook for next year. What's given rise to that? Is this an early bet on AI? Is there some sense of improving productivity out there? What's driving that?
So a number of things are driving what's happening in the forecast. And I would say if you look broadly at outside forecasts, you do see a pickup in growth in many of those now too. So it is It's partly that consumer spending has held up. It's been resilient, and to another degree, it is that AI spending on data centers and related to AI has been holding up business investment. So overall, the baseline expectation for next year is, at least at the Fed, and I think with outside forecasters too, is a pickup in growth from today's relatively low level of 1.7%. I mentioned that the SEP median is 1.7 for this year growth and 2.3 for next year. You actually, some of that is due to the shutdown. So you can take 0.2 out of 2026 and put it in 2025. So it would really be 1.9 and 2.1. But overall, yes, for a few reasons, fiscal policy is going to be supportive. And as I mentioned, AI spending will continue. The consumer continues to spend. So it looks like the baseline would be solid growth next year.
Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking our questions here. You had previously described rate cuts in terms of a risk management framework, and kind of following up on what Howard was asking.
Thank you, baby Draco. I was just turning everything off there. Forgot to turn my mic back on. Why can't I hear the background music? Anyway, what I was saying is that they're going into the question and answer session right now on the Fed talk, and so we don't need to talk about that anymore. Like I said, I got the 95,000 girl over there going because 95,000 is incoming at some point or another here in the next couple hours, maybe up until tonight. You can see the flag behind me here. It broke out of its little flag there, but on a different time frames. It's still in another one. Looking forward to pop out around midnight tonight. Go up to 95,000 before heading back down. That's what we're thinking. It's what we're thinking, ladies and germs. Right? You know what that tune is. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that is the outro music. Thanks again to everyone that watched us today. Really appreciate it. As always, had a big crowd on X today. Thank you guys very much on X. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Fed rate came down 1/4 point. That's good for everybody in the market. Unless it pushes inflation up too high, but they're keeping an eye on that. Can I do a dumbed-down recap? Yes, the dumbed-down recap is just what I just said. The market is coming down. Rates are coming down a little bit. Should spur the economy on like 6 months from now. The jobs report wasn't as bad as everyone thought it was going to be. And the government is buying back bonds and will reissue them at a lower rate, saving the government money. That's it. Thanks. Hope your little one, baby Draco, is doing well, getting the food, and then going in for a poop and a sleep. That's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to host another great episode of the show, DYOR Live. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:05 p.m. on Thursday. So be there.